The 4-6 defense was built on intimidation, raw size and power, stopping runners in their tracks and blasting quarterbacks at every opportunity, then going after the football and coming down with INTs on the back end and sack fumbles in at the QB. The Chicago Bears of 1985, along with the Philadelphia Eagles led by the iconic Buddy Ryan, created one of the most formidable defenses in NFL history. It was the 4-6 defense, and I've recreated it for you to use in Madden 23. And it will incorporate inventive coverage schemes that will result in a multitude of turnovers. We'll focus on bringing insane blitzes and pressure at the QBs to create plays, all while basing our defense out of the 4-6 playbook and the 4-6 formations in it. And we're going to do this so we can play as close to the 85 Bears and Ryan's Eagles as possible while still making it super effective in Madden. The 4-6 defense was a formidable force that redefined NFL history, and the two teams most synonymous with it are the 85 Chicago Bears and the late 80s Philadelphia Eagles. Orchestrated by the innovative and strategic mastermind Buddy Ryan, he had a vision to create a no-nonsense, smash-mouth defense, but simultaneously fostered an environment that allowed the team's unique personalities to shine. This was the spark that ignited the power of the 4-6. The rise and success of the 4-6 defense hinged on having some elite talent, especially in the front seven, with the likes of Mike Singletary at linebacker and hard-hitting lineman Richard Dent, to the human wrecking ball and Dan Hampton, and the behemoth William the Fridge Perry on the inside leading the 85 Bears, and the unstoppable Reggie White and the electric Jerome Brown spearheading the Eagles front from the inside that dominated in the late 80s. The 1985 season of the Bears is the greatest testament to this defense. They led the NFL in scoring defense, allowed the fewest yards in the NFL, all while forcing the most turnovers, and are easily one of the most iconic defenses ever. This remarkable season led to a 15-1 record and them being crowned Super Bowl champions, etching their legacy into the NFL history books. Similarly, the late 80s Eagles under the same aggressive 4-6 defense proved to be a force to be reckoned with, harassing QBs and continuing the legacy of the 4-6, showing it wasn't a one-hit wonder with the 85 Bears. The laundry list of achievements underscores the 4-6 defense place amongst the pantheon of greatest defenses ever, alongside the 70s Steel Curtain Steelers, the 2000 Ravens, and the LOB Seahawks. Now, here are the core principles of the 4-6 defense that served as the cornerstone of their strategy and will be the foundation of our Madden defense. The personnel is the same as a 4-3 defense, possessing 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, and 2 safeties, but their alignment was completely unique. On the weak side of the football, the defensive end lines up outside of the tackle, then the defensive tackle lines up on the weak side of the guard. On the strong side, the defensive end is head up on the strong side guard, and the nose tackle is going to be lined up directly over the center. Then the Sam linebacker lines up on the outside shoulder of the tight end on the line of scrimmage, and the Will linebacker lines up beside him on the tight end's inside shoulder. Then the Mike backer lines up directly across from the strong side tackle and 2 yards back. Then the strong safety played a hybrid safety linebacker role. He lined up directly in front of the weak side tackle and a couple yards back, and this is where the defense got its name. Their safety in this role was Doug Plank, who wore the number 46. This basically made the run game impossible, with this wall of defenders swallowing up ball carriers and forcing offenses to throw the ball. And that is where the blitz came into play. They would have an insane amount of exotic blitzes that were the bread and butter of this 4-6 defense. These intricate and disruptive blitzes often saw multiple linebackers and sometimes even safeties crashing into the backfield. The 4-6 placed a heavy emphasis on overwhelming the offensive line with more rushers than could be blocked, leaving gaps for their pass rushers to break through and wreak havoc on the opposing quarterback. And we are going to just have an incredible amount of variety in our blitz package, so you can throw so many looks at your opponent he will never be able to get a read on it. Then for coverages on the back end, the Bears and Eagles under the guidance of Buddy Ryan leaned heavily on man coverage to complement their relentless blitz schemes. This demanded great detail from their quarterbacks, who were often left on an island one-on-one with wide receivers. However, this man-to-man coverage also set the stage for big defensive plays. But in our 4-6 defense, we will be playing a ton of lockdown man coverage, but we are going to mix in in more zone defense to pair with the man looks to ensure we have more answers for everything the offense throws our way. Even though this approach put a significant amount of strain on the secondary, it was offset by the extreme pressure exerted on the opposing quarterback, making him throw inaccurately or rush through his progressions. So coming up in this scheme, we will have a dedicated video looking at the 85 Bears and the Eagles 4-6 defenses, and this will allow us to break down each of the 4-6 formations in the 4-6 playbook. But the main weakness of the 4-6 was against spread passing teams. The box was just too loaded up, and this allowed offenses to take advantage of these looks and start to win through the air. So for an answer to that, there will also be a dime defense video coming up that won't actually have any ties to the 4-6 defense itself, but it can be run out of the same playbook, and this is going to give you a more spread out option, coverage based answer to these spread looks. And this will be coming up after our 2 4-6 defensive videos, giving us 3 total schemes that we will be looking at. Then to get a head start on this 4-6 defense, head over to my website Scheme Kings, and up right now is the first mini scheme out of this playbook, where I give you a really good nickel option to pair with these heavy 4-6 sets. And this will only be available to Scheme Kings members, and this is just going to give you another really good coverage option to pair with these heavy 4-6 defensive looks. Then there's going to be a ton more going up on the site for this 4-6 defense to help make it a complete defensive scheme. Then also on the site are all my past schemes like my NCAA spread offense and my LOB Seahawks defense and a ton more. Then also on the site you can get access to my playbooks, which are full written breakdowns for each one of my schemes, with 6 out so far, and my newest being my golden era offense that is 73 pages long, and this can help take your game to the next level. So if you want to check out Scheme Kings, it will be linked down in the description below. Now this whole defense will be run out of the 4-6 defensive playbook, and right now we are going to break down our main personnel that we are going to use in these 4-6 looks. Then I'm going to wait and break down the personnel we use for our dime defense in that video, so we won't be touching on that here. Now starting up front with the defensive tackles, and here they wanted space eaters who could really stop the run first and eat up blocks, but also who had the athleticism to get into the backfield and make plays on the QB or wrap up running backs. William the Fridge Perry was the man in the middle for the Bears who dirtied up everything and made the run game so tough to get going. Then Jerome Brown was more of the penetrating type for the Eagles who wanted to explode into the backfield and make big plays. And at my 2 defensive tackle spots, I'm using Dexter Lawrence and Tier Tart. Then I do have inside stuff on both of these players, allowing them to really blow up runs in the backfield, and it makes our run defense so solid. Then at DN, the 4-6 wanted some beasts who were powerful players who could overwhelm offensive linemen and bully their way into the backfield, or could use their speed to get around the edge in at the QB. And the Bears had a nasty pair in Richard Dent and Dan Hampton, who had all of these skills. Then the Eagles had the GOAT Reggie White, who terrorized offenses in this role. Then for my 2 outside rushers, I want Lawrence Taylor and Charles Haley, and both these 2 have unbelievable speed to get at the QB in an instant when coming in on the blitz, and I do have edge threat elite on both of these guys to make sure they can get wins when we are only rushing 4, and this is going to make our coverages so much easier to run on the back end. Then moving to our off-ball linebackers, and in the 4-6, these players need to be able to do it all, whether it was coming downhill and blowing up the run. Then they needed the speed to come in at the QB on blitzes and make them pay, and they must have the athleticism to cover running backs and tight ends on the back end. And the captain of the Bears 4-6 defense was the legendary Mike Singletary, who is one of the best linebackers of all time and was the perfect player for this defense. Now in this defense, we're going to have 3 off-ball backers in Ted Hendricks, Fred Warner, and Mike Vrabel. Then on all 3 of them, I have Lurker, and this allows us to jump up in pass coverage with our linebackers and make plays on the ball, and this is a huge bonus for our ability to play coverage. Then looking at our secondary, and this is going to be super crucial for our 4-6. Now starting at our safeties, and these 2 need to be interchangeable with the ability to play down in the box and have the size to stop the run and come in on blitzes and cause havoc in the backfield. Then they also need to be able to cover all type of players in coverage, whether that's running backs, tight ends, or even slot receivers, so they need good speed and coverage abilities. Now our safeties here will auto flip who's in the box, so we're going to have both Cam Chancellor and out of position Anquan Bolden. Then for our 2 corners, they will be playing a ton of one-on-one man coverage on the outside, so they must have good speed and man coverage abilities to play in this 4-6 scheme, and this is really what we want to target the most, man coverage and speed, so they can hold up on the outside alone with no help. But we are also going to play zone in this 4-6 defense, so being able to sit on routes and jump them in running these looks will be a big skill as well, and just being overall playmakers on the outside is a big factor for these two. And at these two spots, I am running Champ, Bailey, and Aeneas Williams on my two outside corners. Now, the reason I picked these four players in the secondary is because I want to run both of these two abilities on all four of them, and the first one we're going to look at is Deep Out KO. This is the best ability for playing zone coverage in Madden, and it will let you get knockouts on deep balls all over the field when playing zone. This can be deep along the sideline when they take shots down the field, or it can be deep over the middle of the field as well. Then the other ability I want to use on all four of these players is Deep Route KO. This is a man coverage ability, and with it, now when we are bringing our man blitzes, we will still get knockouts with these four players all over the field, and this is especially good on those outside corners, so they just can't throw go balls deep down the field when we are bringing our man blitzes. Now, this defense will be amazing once it is all out, but to pair with it, you need to be able to rack up points and yards. So I just released my golden era offense, where I look at some of the best offenses in the NFL during the 80s and 90s and join them all together into one scheme. So if you want to become unstoppable on offense, then you need to check out my late 80s 49ers offensive video right here.